So Gavin, a mystical experience. A hummingbird just came into your house, and he was partaking of your flowers, and then he just flew back out.
Yeah. Well, we were transfixed because we noticed that he came in because we have the door open. And then he went over and he hovered around us. And then he went over to the flowers. And he started whatever hummingbirds do when they do flowers. He did that for a while, and then he found another flower. And, we were sitting here wondering, well, how do we make sure that he gets out safely? Will he find his way? And he did. I mean, he just moved right on when he was done and just purposely zoomed right out. But it was very sweet. There's something extraordinary about not just the natural world, but animals, beings that are in different forms. They have a consciousness. And of course, hummingbirds are just so extraordinarily beautiful. It was a sweet moment this morning.
You animals. You had a dog when you were young, right?
Yeah, I did. I was one of those fortunate enough to have a very beloved dog from the time I was like 7 until maybe I was 15. And his name was Hank, and he was half German Shepherd, and he was half Collie. And we were always together. He was an incredibly beautiful, wonderful dog. He was very loyal. He would sleep with me at night inside the covers, if you could believe it. He'd be inside the covers. So my dad would come in to check to see if I was asleep and had all my needs met. And he'd tuck his head around the corner and he said, how are you doing? And he'd see this tail go up and down inside the covers. And he knew Hank was there and I was there. Or if I went to the store on my bicycle, Hank and I would go to the end of the block, but he couldn't go off the end of the block and he knew that. So he would wait right on the parkway, right on the grass on my block. I can see it now. And I would go to the store. It might take me an hour or so, and I would come back, and he would be so happy when I came back. And then we would just roar down he'd run down the parkway of all the houses while I was on the street and my bike, and we'd be back together again. When I grew up, I also watched or read books, Henry Higgins, which I always really liked. I forget who the author, I think it's Beverly Clearly. And it was always, he had his dog. And it was something very simple about how I grew up. We were very lower middle class. We didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of culture. We weren't looking to be ambitious. There also wasn't even, interestingly enough, any religion. It was a simple life. We'd watch the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday nights and play music on the record player. And my parents were square dancers. It was in the San Fernando Valley, the East San Fernando Valley, in the 60s. Sweet years, very sweet years.